What to definitely not expect.
Definitely not
expect when you rock up to a bride prep, and you're gonna relate to this. Okay. Is underwear all over the floor.
Literally, like bride prep is supposed to be a clean space where everything is pretty much set out and laid out by the time we get there. I can confirm this definitely ain't the case. And the last thing I expect is 3 or 4, I believe, pairs of underwear. More?
There was like 5, 6 easily.
By the way, used underwear.
Used
underwear on the bed. Yuck. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Cameramen Show. My name's Kartik.
I'm Manav.
And in this podcast, we talk about all things cameras, weddings, and business. Today's episode is really interesting. We're just going to dive straight in and talk about what to expect during bride and groom prep. We've been doing this for several years now.
Yeah.
And we've probably seen the best.
We've seen a lot of
We've
shit.
seen a lot of shit, just putting it lightly.
Yeah.
Like the best and the worst of bride prep and groom prep. No names will be dropped throughout this segment.
We're not going to drop any names, of course.
We don't want to get cancelled.
Yeah, not cancelled. I don't want to get sued, basically. Not even for cancellation purposes, more for just legal purposes. Yeah.
But we will just perhaps share some stories of things that we realized just shouldn't have happened that way. It is what it is.
Or even if it happened that way, that's the whole reason we have a story, right?
Sure,
it's all right.
Sure. Anything.
So the people that are going to hire us do more weird shit in the morning.
You know what?
So we have more stuff to talk about.
If you sure as shit will understand that we'll probably be talking about it on this podcast. So yeah, let's just get straight into.
Imagine you get 0 leads after this. After this airs.
That's all right. Yeah. I'm okay with that. As long as we're honest.
Yeah.
My first point on what to expect during bride and groom prep. By the way, we both shoot South Asian weddings, but I think we'll either talk about it with reference to South Asian weddings or maybe just generically speaking. But my first word is chaos sometimes. You know what I mean? Big time.
Yeah.
And especially for South Asian weddings, I think you'll realize that there's just so much happening.
Yeah.
Caucasian weddings, white weddings, Western weddings, they're all pretty easy as far as the format goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you talk about chaos, what comes to my mind as the first thing is just shit ton of people in the morning at a house, right? I've rocked up to some weddings where they've had 30 or 40 people in the morning.
Why?
I mean,
why do they need to be there?
Okay, the main reason was they want to do all the family photos in the morning, right? But I'm thinking just do it later at either at the ceremony, post-wedding ceremony, whatever.
Correct.
But I do understand sometimes you don't get time, so you do want your immediate family to take photos in the morning because, to be honest, a lot of them fly from overseas.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to see them for another 10 years, 15 years, whatever, right? So, but that does create a lot of chaos in the morning because not only you have to now worry about taking your own photos, your portraits and your immediate family photos, and making sure that you're running on time to leave your home in the morning. But now you have to worry about 30 different people. You got to have 30 different poses, which can be done if you write them down properly and you assign one person to be all right, these people are going up next or whatnot. But man, it's chaotic.
Bro, South Asian weddings are notorious for this. And, for any bride and grooms who are, getting married, who have already booked their photographer or booked us, doesn't really matter, but use this as a reference to go of what not to do. Now, you might say that all 50 members are very important to you and you have to have them there. Okay, cool. You know what? We're not going to argue with that, but just understand that them being there will create an environment where things are going to be high pressure. You will have a time crunch because you have to get to the ceremony. You have to get all these family photos done. Yeah. If you can talk to your partner or talk to your parents or talk to whoever is responsible on the day to go, do we really need to have these family photos done right now? Can it not be done, second half of the day? I would argue to do that because it just decreases your stress on the morning, right? You're not going to go, oh shit, we got 50 photos to take with 50 different family members because they're all here. Where that could have just been, oh, well, we're going to do that in the post-wedding ceremony shoot anyways. So we'll just do it.
But you know what the problem is? When you're in a situation like that, it's the biggest issue with Southeast Asian weddings when it comes to that is offending people.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God.
It's you can't we're saying it from like a photographer's point of view, but if I'm putting myself in like a bride or groom's shoes, it's like it's really hard to like say no to some like
your
uncle
dad's
that came
best
over.
friend from childhood that like he grew up with that you don't even give a shit about.
Yeah,
but they're there.
But they have to be there, and you can't offend them, right? Because you know that your parents are gonna like not gonna hear the end of it for the rest of their lives if you do something like that. So I totally understand where they come from, but I would suggest to avoid having like more than like maybe 10 people in the morning at your house at most. Where the main focus is always, for us anyway, is to take your photos, your immediate family photos, because that time in the morning is when you're like a little bit nervous as well, because like it's the start of the day naturally. So I would suggest to have like as few people as possible.
Good feedback
at that time.
I've got a few points, so we'll just crack on to the next one, just to be as punchy and value adding for everyone here. But the next one is, and I wrote this down just specifically this way: you may not be able to change your light, but you can influence your location.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Makes sense.
Yeah. How many times have you and I shot weddings where we've woken up at 3 a.m. in the morning because we have to start bride prep at 4 a.m. And for Caucasian Western weddings, you probably go like, what the F are you guys talking about?
We're talking about like Southeast Asian weddings where you got to be at the temple by
different, bruh. This shit don't happen here, bruh.
Where you got to be at the temple by like 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. and you got to like start back.
It's cute when you guys say, Western photographers are Caucasian or like white weddings. It's like, oh, 9 a.m.
Oh, it was so hard. We had like a full day. It was like 11 a.m. to like 9 p.m.
I didn't even have my morning coffee, almond milk and all of that. Oh. No, that shit don't happen here. With South Asian weddings, you'll obviously very quickly realize that like everything's sometimes based on auspicious timings. Sometimes the temples aren't very close by. Sometimes the day is just that jam packed with rituals. You have to just start earlier. But what that means is that your bride prep and groom prep timings will also perhaps be before sunrise. Yeah. So that sentence about you may not be able to like change your light, but you can influence your location is, okay, say you don't have sunrise or you don't even have natural window light because it's obviously, freaking pitch black outside. But can we make a nice set for bride prep? Can we not do it in like some lounge room that has shit and clutter everywhere because, that's the biggest space you guys have.
Yeah. Like the one thing we can say is have like one room which is just proper clean, plain, even if it's like nothing in the background, as long as it's plain, you have like a large window where the natural light's coming in from. And if like a lot of the times we are going to start in the morning when it's like the sun hasn't even risen yet.
It's basically
at
like
that
dawn.
time we'll like I bring my own lights.
You'll bring your lights,
right? Then we'll have like some sort of a light setup which will give you like a nice flattering light. But at least have like one room which is like fully clean. There's no clutter in the shots.
Correct.
That just makes our life so much easier.
I'm very normal now. Like now I'm not going to argue it. I don't want to be a bitch about it. It's just like sometimes it is what it is. We have to start early based on what we do.
And sometimes you are going to get a clutter, so you just have to work with it.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if you can't influence the time of day that you start, then you can at least, to Manav's point, like make it clean, right? Like keep it in a way where, okay, this is the room we're going to dedicate for portraits and family photos, or you want to bring a backdrop here. Shout out to Manav's point.
I'll take like in that regard. I'm actually starting to see a lot more brides have like decor setups in the morning, where we do getting ready shots, and man, it actually helps so much.
100%.
Helps so much.
100%. Like a plain wall now becomes a little bit more interesting to work with.
Just adds more depth to the photo as well.
Yeah. And you can get some creative stuff, right? Like if I have, flowers in a bench and like a little backdrop with curtains or something like that, make it look full nice, I get some pretty creative portraits. Yeah. But if you give me a plain wall to work with, not that that's bad, but it does limit some photographers to an extent to go, oh, well, just really one thing. And because you don't have light to shape the way the light is falling on a subject, because it's like you don't have natural light, you have artificial light, you'll have to create your own stuff at some point. Like you can't rely on downlights to get good artistic shots for bride and groom prep.
This is a little bit off topic with the whole, how you talk about like we have to start like with auspicious timings. Talking about auspicious timings, do you think that should have just like made up? Do you think so? Sometimes I actually think about this. Right?
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah. I feel like the auspicious timings of dates is just whatever the availability is of the pundit. Imagine the wedding. Imagine that, put yourself in the shoes. You're a pundit, right? And you've got a wedding booked out for like 19th of January or something next year. And now you got another couple coming to you who's like, Panditji, I really want my wedding on the 19th of January. You look at your availability, right? You're like, oh shit, I can't do this wedding because I already have another wedding booked. beta. This is not auspicious. Not auspicious day. Okay?
I can't do this. Can't do this time.
Yeah, we have to do it the next day at a certain time.
Very early in the morning, no? But like,
You know,
imagine.
I legit thought about this. Like, I actually think this is the case.
Yeah. Look, it could very well
Which
be.
is kudos to them. Like they're
business people.
Yeah, they're
They know
business
this
people.
shit.
That's it,
They've
yeah.
got to freaking earn bank.
But like the whole auspicious timing, sometimes I feel like it's just like whatever the pundit's availability.
yeah,
is.
it's like it changes all of our dynamic.
Yeah.
Like that one thing makes everything change.
Yeah,
like lighting, the way we shoot as well, whether we're bringing in stuff, whether
Yeah.
you bring a prop or like have a set up, it doesn't really matter. But these things will make an impact in terms of like how it'll impact your bride and groom prep experience.
And talking about like the bad lighting conditions that we talked about, sometimes there's just not going to be a choice. Like it is what it is, and you're starting early, and you're not going to have natural light.
Correct.
But I feel like if, as a photographer, you need to know how to light a bad light situation.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to learn lighting.
Which is basically like you need like, no, I'm not throwing any shade to anyone. Like there's a lot of photographers out there who just don't use flash at all. But I feel like you should know how to use flash.
You have to. Because if it's 3
It might not be the certain look you might.
Correct.
Like, okay, as a photographer, it might be the look that I want to go for, right?
I know what you
But
mean. I know what you mean.
99% of the photos I'm taking on a wedding day, like no one else other than the couple are going to see that, right? And what do couples care about? Nicely lit, clean photos. They don't care if it's not a specific mood or whatever,
Unless
right?
it's intentionally artistic for
That's
maybe
fine, that's
one
fine.
photo.
Yeah,
maybe one
yeah.
photo.
Like and thing is, a lot of times, like photographers will refuse to use flash just because that's not their vibe, or that doesn't go with the product they want to take, or whatever it is. But I feel like it just comes down to laziness at the end of the day. Like you just don't want to learn how to use flash, or like you don't want to invest time into learning it.
The other point that I was going to refer to in terms of what you could expect on bride and groom prep in the morning is a shortness on time. I feel like obviously there's chaos, which we've referred to. You have sometimes a lot of people there, but generally speaking, you have a shortness on time. Now, what does this mean in terms of, say you're a bride getting married and you know that your solo photos to you are really important, and even the groom, and you want time. So I would imagine a conversation would be happening where you would tell your photographer that we'd love to get you in at a certain time, and we're going to push this back until 2-3 hours, not 3 hours, but maybe 2 hours at least, the bare minimum, but for what we do. So does that mean that you have to be ready on time? Like, does that mean that your hair and makeup artists have to now be brought forward a little bit on time? Because there are so many times, and you know this, where we have shot weddings, and in bride prep and groom prep, hair and makeup artists are running a little bit late. Yeah. Now, I get it, because you guys want to do a great job, and you should be, because this is obviously an important day. But that time,
like that is the most important thing. If you think about it, is like the makeup artist doing makeup to the bride is probably like the
biggest thing.
If she doesn't look good on the day, she's not going to feel good on the day.
I get it, and it's going to see in photos. 100% agree. Yeah. But that stuff requires time. Yeah. And where that time comes out of is the point that I'm trying to raise here. Yeah. Because say for instance we have an hour, which sometimes has happened. Like, bro, we've gone to bride prep in the morning. Yeah. And the bride's like, we have an hour.
Talk about 15 minutes, bro. I've done once where I was allotted like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. The makeup artist just ran so over time that we had 15 minutes left to do portraits.
Damn.
And like, what do you really do in 15 minutes, right? And that's 15 minutes for photo and video combined, which is like 7.5 minutes. Hey, good luck.
What do you do?
Hey, bro, go take a bride portrait. 7.5 minutes.
You know what this reminds me of? What's that cooking show where they give you like I think it's a Master Chef where they have like, you have 1 hour to complete this meal. It's like you have 7 minutes to do these bride and groom shot photos.
Imagine trying to take like the photos of the most important day of your life, which is like, and mind you, bridal portraits in the morning are usually the ones that people print a lot as well, right? They come out and they are more the artistic side of things. Correct. Like that and the post-wedding shoot, right? Yeah. Correct. Everything in the middle is kind of just like you're documenting as it goes or whatever. Correct. Where you do have a control over how you can make a photo look is more just stuff in the morning and stuff in the evening, right? And now imagine doing that in like 7.5 minutes.
So knowing this, my advice to anyone listening to this, whether you're even a photographer, a hair and makeup artist, or a bride or groom, like knowing that there will naturally be a shortness of time makes you go, okay, well, what part can we really control here? Like, okay, let's just give leeway for buffer. Let's just assume that maybe hair and makeup might take an extra 15 minutes. Like, yes, you're probably going to have to, wake up a little bit earlier. But again, in the context of going, do we really want 7 minutes for our photos or do we want an hour? These are things that you have to sacrifice on, right?
And of course, this varies in the type of Southeast Asian wedding as well, right? Like, for example, like if you're like a Tamil wedding where you have to be at a temple at a certain time, there's no leeway as where compared to like a Sikh wedding. And what I've noticed with like Sikh weddings is like brides will leave home at like early in the morning for like no reason whatsoever, right? They'll leave at like, they'll be like, oh, we need to leave home at like 8 o'clock and then just go sit at the Gurdwara for like 2.5 hours doing nothing, right? And shout out to Aveen, who's wedding a shot recently. Right? So what she did was she literally goes, I don't want to be at the Gurdwara early. I want to just stay at home and I want to utilize that time to take photos, right?
Brilliant.
Man, I'm telling you, we had like an hour and a half.
Brilliant.
After everyone left, by the way. And this is like another hour and a half we had before as well, right? When we were doing all the family photos and everything.
Yep.
We literally had an hour and a half just to like focus on her. And do her bridal photos, which like and it worked out to be like so much better than like just rushing in the morning.
Let me amend this. Shortness on time, you'll experience, but how you use your time is equally just as important. Bruh, 100%. Like, what is the point of leaving your home if you're going to go around and sit somewhere anyways? You know what I mean? Like, why would you let like your time to the venue be like cutting out of your, you know, your photography time when you could just extend that to go, because I actually don't have to be at the venue at any point in time soon anyway.
And look, it's fine if you actually have to do something, but if you're just going to go there and just sit for like 2.5 hours and do
you're
nothing
wasting
and
opportunity.
like you're literally wasting all the time that you could have utilized to take photos. And I understand there's like a thing where people want to get to us, you know, it's the most important day of your life and you want to get there early. Just make sure you leave all the, you know, there's no room for error or anything like that. But I really just don't get like just getting there like 2.5 hours early and just sitting there and just.
It's funny because literally 2 weeks ago, I shot a Lebanese wedding. I was second shooting. Groom preppers, which I was doing, 9 a.m. start, went for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Bruh, there's someone who gets it right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, mind you, groom prep, first of all.
And mind you, you don't really need 3 hours. Like, that could have happened in like 2 hours, but it just,
And again, it's all relative, right? Like, church wedding versus Indian 3-hour ceremony. I get it. Like, there's a lot happening versus our nationality in terms of what we're doing differently.
Yeah.
I get it. But there's someone there, that's an example of a day where, like, they prioritize a whole bunch of things for prep in the morning. And I do believe that we could incorporate that into ours as well, and you guys can as well. If it just comes to an understanding of going, like, do we really need certain things to happen the way they do? Like, I feel like some couples, just similar to the conversation we're having about, you know, pundits and auspicious time, accept the reality.
Yeah.
Like, they accept that for, say, a Sikh wedding, the bride has to go in and just sit there for like an hour and a half doing nothing. They accept that. But why isn't, like, people aren't being like RV and going, well, does that really make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So shortness on time, but also to question.
But good luck trying to incorporate the Lebanese thing into our weddings. You're going to have to start shooting at 3 a.m. in the morning.
I know.
Another point that I can bring up regarding the bride and groom prep in the morning is that usually brides and bridesmaids wake up at 12 a.m. to start getting ready, right? If they have to like leave home at like 8 a.m. or whatever, because the makeup takes a long time.
Correct.
And you're dealing with like a lot of tired people in the morning at times. So what's your experience with that, and what do you think is like is there anything you can do to, you know, make sure you manage that situation where everyone's tired?
I mean, so I think it overlaps with the previous topic, right? So do we have to wake up at midnight first of all? And let's just assume on this conversation
I think you do.
Okay,
like
so
cool. Honestly, like bridal makeup takes like a couple of hours, 3 hours from what I know. Obviously, I'm not a makeup artist. I've talked to makeup artists and they have to start like 12:30 at night a lot of the times. And then obviously there's like 6 or 8 people they have to do the makeup off. Yeah. So it takes like a long time. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just assume you have to. So what tips you're asking me would I give, or like just someone to help prep or whatnot? Or like the way I sort of see it is, right, you have to wake up at midnight. Okay, that's a pretty shit go. So let's just proactively be proactive here, which means you're going to be a bit more tired, which means, okay, you're not getting the most hours sleep, which means you might see that come through in your photos. All right. What could we do to now limit the effects of that? Yeah. And I actually wrote about this in my points, and I literally wrote food and coffee, right? Like, very simple tip.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty underrated.
Make sure you have enough food for everyone in the morning.
I don't know why brides just don't eat. on the day. Maybe they're nervous or some shit. I don't know.
I don't know. Do you reckon? I think it's probably because of nervousness. I wouldn't know. Or do you reckon it's like they're not going to fit into Lenga properly?
I wouldn't say. I don't think one bite is going to make a difference. That's not how body like fat works and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what it is just they just don't want to eat.
They're just nervous. They don't want to
they don't want to eat. They don't want to have a heavy meal.
Yeah.
Or just have to go to the bathroom or something in their outfits. Which, as you know, for South Asian wear, we wear heavy outfits. So I get it. But coffee, right? So coffee goes a long way.
Yeah.
I feel like. Yes, you'll probably have to wake up if you have an extensive day the next day, very early in there. Maybe not 12, but unless it's Sri Lankan weddings, maybe like other style of weddings, sure. But yeah, if you're preparing your day in a way where you're being very efficient in the morning, you're not doing last minute tasks that you shouldn't be. Like things that should be done before the wedding should have been already done in the wedding. You shouldn't need to stress about it on the morning of your wedding day. So when your photographer rocks up there, you're going in with, oh, cool, happy attitude, happy spirit.
And also generally tends to help, like if there is like coffee or food in the morning, even it helps us.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you think about it, like we get there at like 6 a.m. We've definitely not had any breakfast in the morning because there's literally nothing open to have breakfast, right? So if we do end up like grabbing a little bit of bite or having a coffee in the morning, it actually helps your vendors as well.
Yeah.
Let alone the people that like, and I'm not saying that like
this is all about us guys. This is not about you guys, all right? I feel like food is there for us. I feel like food is just helps in the morning.
Yeah. Especially when everyone's so tired. Just to grab even just a coffee, man. Not even food.
Yeah.
If I just have a coffee right before I start shooting.
Whose wedding was it where Rommy's, shout out to her, she had a case of Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like a full 24 pack, I think it was.
Yeah.
Of Red Bull. I think we ended up taking one or two. Best thing ever. That was genius. That was
Definitely
genius. A point that I had in terms of what to expect for bride and groom prep. And the point was, don't let the weather dampen your spirits. I recently experienced a bride.
Yes, I remember you telling me this.
Who, she was a wonderful, wonderful bride. Loved her, but you could evidently tell she was upset that
was raining.
Yep. And I think it was worse because the rain had impacted the wedding venue in terms of marquee setup at a place where it should have been outdoor. Now, the thing that I always say to my bride and groom is that you can control what you can control, but don't stress about things that you can't.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not responsible for it raining.
Yeah.
Right? So you shouldn't be upset when it buckets down on your wedding day.
And thing is, like, not even as a vendor, I can like literally think back to when I got married. Bro, the day just like flies by. As a couple, the day just flies by. Like before you know it, you're like on the reception dance floor dancing, right? And like, especially for my wedding, for example, I didn't even get to eat at my reception. Because every time we had a break,
I didn't know that.
Every time we had a break, someone would just come up and be like, "Hey, we just want photos with you," which is fine. Like you're in the, you've got a few drinks, like like you're having fun.
Yep.
But like after the whole reception finished, we danced dance floor. I just realized that I haven't even like I don't even know what the food tasted like at my reception. Right?
Spend so much money on food.
And if you think about it, like most people come to receptions for food, right? For food. So definitely like. One thing to do is to just like take your time and take everything in, have plenty of breaks, have a lot of food breaks in between on the day, but especially for the morning as we're talking about, definitely like have something there to give you energy and have a little bit of a bite, have a coffee.
For sure. But in terms of the weather, like, obviously everyone hopes. No one wakes up and goes, oh, I hope it pisses down rain today. Obviously, we all hope for a sunny day and we all hope for clear skies.
You can't control it.
You can't control it. So why would you stress about it? You know what I mean? Because for the life of me, I was trying everything to be positive and crack jokes with this bride in particular. And not just her. I've had other brides in the past. And yes, it will impact like the logistics of your wedding if it's an outdoor wedding. Yes, it will impact your post-wedding photo shoot. Does that mean that you still won't have wonderful photos? And if anything, like have a better relationship with it. Don't criticize the rain. Be like, oh, you know what? On this day it actually rained, and you know what? Sure.
It's part of your memories.
Yeah.
Like when you look back, it is like imagine if it just like buckets down on your wedding day, and you got all these photos of you just running around. Actually, this reminds me. I shot a wedding like a couple of months ago where it just started pouring down, and this was a country wedding, right? Okay. And the couple just was like, fuck it. We're just going to go into the water and we're just going to go
Mad.
wet.
Mad.
We're going to get wet. I want you to
Mad.
take our photos
Yeah.
of us just like having fun while it's pouring down. And they didn't even take umbrella. And they're like, and this was like obviously towards the end of the day, we've already done the safe shots, right? Like under shade. There was like a few nice areas there where we did photos of them under. But right at the end, they're like, you know what? Right now, we don't care. Just take us for the next 10 minutes. I'm like, this is going to be a very short thing because once you get wrecked, right? Like you can only take so much photos after you're wrecked, right? So we literally just got him out into the grass, just running around, having fun,
That's
and
mad.
just pouring down,
That's
bro.
mad.
Honestly, some of the best photos.
I think that's the attitude to have, right? Like no one's saying you're not spending obviously like, you know, hundreds of dollars on your outfits and hair. I get it. But get your safe stuff, right? Get the things that are, you know, you clean shots.
Yeah.
But then embrace the rest.
Yeah.
Right? Like
and now they're gonna look back on all these photos and be like, oh, we had so much fun in the rain and stuff like that. Like it's all about making memories, right? Like
I know this is getting a bit deep in meta here, but one of my all-time favorite quotes is life is only 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it, right? Yeah. I think your wedding day is a very key example of that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it would probably piss down rain.
There's going to be like 10 things that go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's how you react to it.
And if you live, living in London for a year and a bit, if you lived in London and you're a photographer there, you'll also realize it also is based on terrain, right? Like there's some countries that are notorious for rain. If you're in the Philippines or not Philippines, but even Thailand or Bali, where it's like monsoons or Fiji, where it's monsoon season, like embrace it. Like, just don't argue with it. Sometimes shit happens. Yeah. The other key point that I had in terms of what to expect during bride and group prep, more so relates to grooms. And I know we've been talking about brides for a lot in the last few segments and points. And the point is, grooms, don't be lazy, get your shit together. Now, what do you think that could probably mean?
Actually don't know. What, as in like what, they get ready on time or?
Correct.
Okay.
How many times?
Yeah.
How many times?
I think, bro, like, think about it.
You know what I'm at, right?
Yeah, but think about it. Like, think about like the bride has to be up at like 12 a.m.
Correct.
Right? Get her makeup done, put her outfit on, do like 10 different things. And the amount of times we've seen brides be ahead of grooms on the wedding day.
Of course.
Regardless of all that. It's just crazy. Like, if you're a groom, you just got to wake up, take a shower, put some gel on, and put some clothes on. That's it.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard.
So what I meant by that, just to articulate, grooms, get your fucking shit together. No. I think it's like, yes, no one likes to wake up early. I'm not an early morning person. We shouldn't be. No one has the right to complain about sleep in front of the bride. Yeah. You know, not to take sides here, but no one has the right.
Yeah.
But grooms, like, I get it. Obviously, there's not an extensive detail in terms of, you know, you're not wearing too much. You're not doing hair and makeup as well. Unless you are, then, you know, good to you. But you can wake up. You can get your things laid out. You can be ready to go so that when your photographer walks in there, you're not saying things like, which has happened to me in the past, are we starting now? You know what I mean? And then I'm like looking at this guy with the most fucked up expression on my face. I'm like, bruh, do you know what day it is today? like, obviously they caught off by surprise, but you're there early, you're there to shoot, you're there to have fun. But like grooms just come in with a level of like proactive attitude, right? Like it's like, okay, cool, let's just lay out my clothes for the photographer. Oh, cool, like let's just be in somewhat presentable clothes let's just clean up the room a little bit so that person doesn't have to play clean up for us, right? Like how many times have you shot into groom prep where you've gone and you're like, what the fuck's this? Yeah. Like, this looks like a mess. Yeah. Or you had to be like, okay, like, open some blinds and get shit together. Or
I got to consider myself lucky because, like, 99% of the time, I do bride prep.
Yeah, true.
I'm doing bride prep
only when I second shoot. Sometimes when I go to groups,
it's always my second shooter who's doing group prep.
Yeah. And I feel like our second shooters cop it the most. Yeah. Because they have to do grooms a lot, right?
Having said that, groom prep is much easier to do.
It is.
Compared to bride prep. Yes. So if you're doing groom prep, like, there's always... there's like a lot less to do in terms of the type of photos and stuff as well. Not saying that you don't have to do shit. Like obviously you got to take good shots, but the time is usually on your side when it comes to groom prep because like realistically, like you could do a groom prep in like half an hour, 45 minutes if you really wanted to.
Yeah, correct.
And usually we get like an hour and a half, 2 hours to do it. So that's good. And what to definitely not expect.
Definitely not
expect when you rock up to a bride prep, and you're going to relate to this, is underwear all over the floor.
Okay, story time.
I want to get into this.
All right, story time.
Right. And mind you, this is a wedding that we shot together. I was second shooting for you that wedding, right? And I was doing video, he was doing photos, and we walked into
so
I'm just going to do a simple setup here, and then I'm going to let you take over from there, right? We get to a bride's house in the morning, everything normal. We go upstairs. We go upstairs. So sorry, someone's like, "Oh, the bride's upstairs. She's ready. She's waiting for you to take your photos." We go upstairs. I enter the room first, followed by Kartik, who enters behind me. And as soon as we enter, we just like look at each other.
I looked at you.
We looked at each other and we're like,
we do
we had
this
this
thing.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but
expression on our
we do
face.
this thing where we don't communicate via our words.
Yeah.
I look at you.
I think that's when you've been shooting for a while. It's kind of like normal.
It's like I don't know if you. This is weird, but couples, if you look at each other at a party and you see something fucked up,
yeah,
and you don't want to talk about it because you can't,
Yeah.
and then the guy and the girl look at each other, and something fucked up has just happened,
yeah.
and you give each other a look because you're like, okay, we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
That's basically what we do a lot
Yeah.
during moments where we can't talk about things, but we definitely talk about it to the.
So, anyways, I'm going to let you take over from here. We walked into a room and we just looked at each other like, what the
Okay,
fuck?
so literally, like, bride prep is supposed to be a clean space where everything is pretty much set out and laid out by the time we get there. I can confirm this definitely ain't the case. And the last thing I expect is 3 or 4, I believe, pairs of underwear. More?
There was like 5, 6 easily.
By the way,
Used underwear.
Used underwear on the bed.
Yuck.
That has been tried on, I believe, by the bride because she was sussing out whether that would go with or something with like
I mean, that's the best case scenario.
I would assume that's the best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
But it's to do with something a lot. Like there was a reason for it. It wasn't just that you were just trying it on. There's a reason for it, which I don't need to know. And I don't care.
Do you think it could be that they were like the bridesmaids? Or
You
like
mean to
people,
tell me?
like
You mean to
everyone
tell
was
me?
changing in there and they
And
just
they
like
left
left
the
it on the
underwear.
floor. I mean, bro, at this point, like I didn't know what to expect. Like when we got there.
Okay, look, could be. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. At this rate, I'm in the 8 years I've been shooting for, I've never seen that shit. Have you?
No, the only time when I'm shooting for you.
Okay,
Why do you always put me on weird
I'm
ways?
sorry. I'm sorry. Lovely bride, lovely, everything wonderful.
I think it's the
Everything
wedding.
is
Wedding
great.
went perfect.
Wedding was
no issues,
awesome,
but bro. Like,
but I've never been in a situation where I've had used underwear cluttering a space of bride prep.
in the bride prep room. Yeah.
That was a bit weird.
Yeah.
So to Manav's point about expect the unexpected, is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
like,
Okay.
yeah.
I was going. Yeah. I'll add on to that. Like,
you might walk into a room and
Yeah.
it might just be full of used underwear.
There could be a point where your hair and makeup artist doesn't rock up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Has that happened?
Okay. So story time.
Okay.
I've been to weddings where the main hair and makeup artist for the bride was there, and that's awesome. And I know this person. Hey, how's it going? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. All good.
Yeah.
Bridesmaids are also there, but bridesmaids can't get ready. Why? Because the bridesmaids' hair and makeup artist didn't show.
Oh, and obviously normally they book like a different one for bridesmaids
Sometimes,
because the main one has to like
sometimes.
focus on
Sometimes. And that's scary.
yeah.
Like, what?
Like, what do you even do?
What do you do? I mean,
the main makeup artist might just have to do theirs.
I think they had something else to go to. So
Yeah.
what these bridesmaids did was they went to, how you go to Para, Westfields, and you get to like Napoleon. What are they? Like you go into those those boutique
makeup
ones.
places. Yep,
and they just do it there.
And they do it there. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good enough job.
That's the job done.
I can't remember what it's called, but they went into there and they got it done. But no word from that hair and makeup artist.
Damn.
No one didn't know, and I'm assuming something had happened. And obviously that person is a credible person, and they have a bit of reputation business. So I'm not like they didn't deliberately miss it. There's obviously must have been a genuine reason. But what I mean by
But they didn't communicate either. Like why?
No,
Okay, well,
until it
that's
must have been
bad.
afterwards. So there probably was a reason.
You reckon they
because-
just slept in?
Oh,
I legit think they probably just slept in.
Look,
And
at
then all
this
these
point-
stories
at
came
this
out
point-
later,
at
all
this
these
point
stories.
could be.
My grandmother died.
I mean,
Why is it always the grandmothers
I
that
don't know.
like get thrown into the bus? I just don't get that.
I think it's
don't
just
get that.
emotional heartstring.
Yeah,
right?
grandmothers or
Yeah.
mothers.
Grandmothers, mothers,
The
grandfathers.
amount of people I know whose grandmothers have died like 50 times.
Very common.
Yeah, very common. Very common. Yeah.
Shout out to, rest in peace. Shout out. But expect the unexpected is in the context of this, where your vendor doesn't show. Underwear's everywhere in the last example. Your clothes actually might rip. This has happened to me before.
Okay.
Like a blouse has just, one of the stitchings have just come out. What do you do now? So then shout out to every South Asian mother who knows how to sew, comes to the rescue, fixes that stuff. But these things are very common. These things can actually go wrong. And your best reaction in this is to not panic, to be calm and collected, and to try and understand that everything has a solution. right? Like underwear, okay, fine, just put that shit away, or don't even have it in there in the first place. But vendor not rocking up, great, okay, cool. Let's get the girls to a hair and makeup store or somewhere in Para Westwards. Yes, it'll probably mean that things will be delayed by an extra 15 minutes.
And
but
it might cost you extra, whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Stitching, okay, great. Mum knows how to sew. Or, okay, even better, can we have a backup of like not a blouse or something per se, but like something in case something else goes wrong. Like have contingencies.
You know the amount of shit we're gonna get from people. They're gonna be like,
Guaranteed.
these guys have no idea what the fuck
Yeah,
they're talking about.
We're
blouses and
we're naive.
clothes and
we're
shit.
naive and stupid.
Yeah, like we're literally just like saying all this from a photographer's point of view,
Which is why,
which is like a third person just standing there.
Which is why,
what the hell's going on.
if you disagree with us, you should comment down in the sections below.
Yeah. Let us know
and let us know. But engage with us.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah. There's no dislike button. Only like.
Yeah. If you wanna dislike, just press a dislike twice.
Really? That's the best. I know what you mean.
No, you know what that does, right?
It cancels out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So like, comment, subscribe below. If you hate it, dislike it. No, I fucked it up. Like, comment, and subscribe.